turn parts between centers, it's maybe a good idea to have centers, which for a tailstock is not really a problem because this one uses Morse 3 tapers. And I have one. It fits perfectly fine. And for the headstock we need a Morse taper 5 that I have here. But as always, there is of course a problem. This spindle uses the short type Morse taper 5 and this is the normal size, the long one, which means it doesn't fit. A quick and easy way to fix it could be of course to just cut a piece off, and your uncle's called Bob or something, I don't remember. So just measure and then cut and then, but here again there is a problem. How do you hold this thing? Of course you cannot hold this thing in a vise because it's tapered and the jaws will be out of alignment. That's not gonna work. There is of course a little portion here that is parallel, but it is so small that the vise will never hold it because you hold it here and you have to cut here. That's not gonna work. So it could well be that the next best thing to do to make this work is just to make a new one. Let's go for it. And because for the moment the Celtic is chuckless, there is no chuck on it, to be able to do test fits of course, I will not make it here on the Celtic, but I will use the USSR lathe, and I'm sure the little machine will be very happy with it. First of all, I will install the top slide at the right angle. So all I have to do is to copy the angle of this thing here. And again, how do you hold it? This one is easy. I had to clean out the center on this side here because there was rust and all kind of things we don't need to know what's in there, and it wasn't running concentric, but now it is. That's good. Difference of 1/100th. That's good enough. Right, let's see what we've got here. I throw this thing here on and set the angle by eye at more or less 1.5 degrees. And now I'm only 3/100ths of a millimeter off over this length. Okay, we're gonna do better. I managed to install it in an angle, and now I have a difference here less than 1/100th of a millimeter. Good enough. Right, I'm happy with the results, which means that all this can go now. And in comes my piece of rust. Right, I will put it completely to the bottom. That's not gonna work. I will put a mark here on one of these jaws, so that if I have to take it out, I can put it back in the same position. Right, let's make some shapes. That's not good, it's making music. Right, just enough to clean off the rust. That will do. Before I go any further, let's do a test fit. There is a tiny bit of wiggle. Right, let's try to figure out what's happening. It's catching here and here, so it shouldn't wiggle. No, right here and right here. I think I'm gonna leave it as is, and I'm sure it will work just fine. All I have to do is now to cut this taper up to this line here, because the depth I have here is 100 millimeters. This line is about 90 millimeters, so I have 10 millimeters of play to get it in. That will work. That's good. And this should be it. I drilled here and tapped an M10 to be able to install a drawbar. Let's That feels good. It's touching here and here and here a little bit and here a little bit more and here, and this is the end of the taper. So I think success. And because I made a nice big chamfer around this metric 10 hole, it is very easy to install the drawbar. Here you go. It's just that tighten a nut in here is gonna be a little bit of a challenge. Of course I have to make a washer for it, and the depth is 100 millimeter. So that's not gonna work. If I have a pipe spanner, of course it will work, but I don't have. So let's get creative again. It could well be that we're getting somewhere here. Now, I reinstalled the drawbar, but I took off the cover. The cover comes over here, of course, in all this empty space. If I take, for example, a piece of pipe, then I cut off at the right length and then make a little washer that fits in here. Press them together so that they will be one part. All I have to do is to turn down the outer diameter to make it fit inside this ring here. That could work. Of course I don't want to make it too long, but just that the nut that comes here on my future washer will be at the same distance than the cover, so not too much stick out, which could be dangerous. Grab your clothes, for example. Let's start, for example, with making the washer. And I will do it here on the Celtic lathe, because I feel like playing with my Celtic lathe. And of course also because this one has auto crossfeed, and the USSR lathe, nope. Automatic crossfeed, very nice invention. I came really close to a disaster here. My part was in here, and instead of feeding this way, I engaged the feed, but this way. That's not a good idea, but nothing broken, and this line here will disappear when the part is finished. Right, let's The idea is of course to reduce this diameter to more or less this diameter here, and half of it reduce this diameter to the inner diameter, so I can press them together. Let's cut. And this should be it. I left it a tiny bit oversized because the bore of this pipe here is not completely round and it's full of dirt. So I'm gonna clean it a little bit up with a boring bore, and I will adapt of course this one and this one to make it a press fit. Right, let's start working on this thing. I think this will be a very nice press fit. It is indeed a press very hard fit, so let's use some violence. It worked! I think this will work just fine. There's maybe 10mm stick out here, not dangerous. Of course, for most turning operations between centers, you don't need a drawbar in this one, because the part that you install between centers is gonna be pushed that way with the tailstock, so it can't come out. And in most commercial center points, there is not even a hole, a threaded hole for a drawbar, so normally there's no need. But because I'm gonna turn this point now, and the cutting forces will be lateral, it could maybe be a little bit that this tape is gonna come loose. So now it can't, because I installed my brand new threaded rod in here, so this thing isn't going anywhere. Let's make a point. Compared to this one, the official one, I have more than enough room here, of course, to make one. But I think I'm gonna make my center a little bit longer than this one. So I have a little bit of material left if I have to recut the point. You never know what can happen. A part that pushed out and bent this point here. So let's say, for example, we'll cut it off here. That's good. I installed the top slide at 30 degrees. This 0, this 90, this 30. Because of course the combined angle of this point has to be 60. Let's do this. It feels like my insert doesn't cut anymore. Right, let's try again. Much better. Alright, I have the new center for the Celtic morse taper 5 short type. Now for the moment I don't have any projects to use it, but I'm sure that one day